There is a reason you see the same three experts everywhere on the podcast circuit, on morning television, in your LinkedIn feed, in the media, everywhere, all the time. And it is not because they are smarter than you or more credentialed than you in all cases. It is because they have figured out the loop. The Breakfast Club has been running that loop for over a decade. Charlamagne Tha God, DJ Envy, and now Jess Hilarious. They did not build a media empire by making content once. They show up with raw, unfiltered personality every time, making it hard to ignore. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how that loop works and how you can build your own version of it to become the expert producers cannot stop calling. This is Think Like a Producer. I'm Jamie Maglietta, a television news veteran, founder of On Cam Ready Media, and your secret weapon before press. In this episode, we are talking about The Breakfast Club. It is all part of a series where I'm looking at YouTube podcasts. We already looked at Diary of a CEO, Mel Robbins, and Smartless. Today, The Breakfast Club teaches us something none of those shows do: the power of the media loop. Subscribe to this channel if you're liking the content and follow us on your podcasting platform of choice. If you do enjoy the direction I'm taking this, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on Instagram, Jamie_Maglietta, or comment below on YouTube. Now let's get into it. The Breakfast Club launched in 2010 on Power 105.1 in New York. Within a few years, it became the most influential hip-hop morning radio show in the country. It is syndicated nationally and a YouTube presence that is off the charts, with viral clips bringing in millions of views. But here's what I want you to understand about how they built it. By the way, I worked for BET when we were delivering The Breakfast Club to linear. So The Breakfast Club is a radio show, but in 2023, it was also appearing on BET, VH1, and MTV. And I was the production manager, the executive in charge, overseeing that delivery and making sure that it also got to our streaming platforms. So I have some inside knowledge on The Breakfast Club, and I'll make sure to weave that into this conversation. The Breakfast Club was not built on one moment. It was built on consistency and incorporating that celebrity energy. They've had some hard-hitting interviews and some really compelling guests on the show that sometimes challenge the thoughts that the hosts have as well as the viewers. I love how they all complement each other with their own point of view as hosts, and they bring in a guest that they don't all necessarily always agree with, which is really compelling. It's not always just a promotional celebrity interview. They get into it. Like sometimes they'll talk about life, family, and have a little fun too. The humor part, which I mentioned in my Smartless episode on Think Like a Producer. Humor is essential, and they really know how to bring it. Great energy. It's very personality driven. So what you really want to think about is if you have a good point of view, you want to be able to bring it into a conversation with a lighthearted way, with a serious way, and with some real humor. Practice the points that you want to make as a guest and as a host, and figure out what works best for you so that you can interject humor or bring humor to the table as a guest. And what they do great is they really feed off each other. And I talk about this in my Smartless episode. Again, I have to bring that up because you really need to check it out. The three of them have great chemistry, and the three of these individuals on Breakfast Club do too. Okay, I want to go to their YouTube real quick. You can see that on their trending, they use a thumbnail that's very colorful, tons of pictures, not much on these thumbnails. They're very just eye-catching. And then they have their interviews, which is also a very consistent look, simple. They're using names because that's sometimes all you need to draw in an audience is a picture and a name so people know who they're going to get when they tune in. But what they are doing down here is they are using some colorful images with text on screen. And a lot of people that are creating thumbnails say that you want to have 1 to 4 words on screen to make it very like eye-catching. That's what they're doing here. They're following that. You can learn more about YouTube thumbnails on my conversation on Unknown to Known with Gerald Davis. So be sure to check that out if you want to learn more about thumbnails. Here are the 4 Breakfast Club moves that you can do. And I'm giving it to you from the producer's lens. Move 1. High frequency beats high quality every time. So, what the Breakfast Club does is it doesn't just drop perfect episode, they're there every day, 5 days a week. This is a radio show. It is really hard to replicate without a team. So before you see this and think, "Oh my gosh, I need to show up every day for 5 days." No, take a beat. You can take from this show what you want. You don't need to show up every day for a long form interview to grow. I've actually seen some people show up every day with a long form interview and not really grow at all. So you want to make sure that you have your SEO and you're consistent in your language and your types of guests and the branding before you go digging in and trying to do this 5 days a week. That's my tip. Coming from a producer, reach out. I know podcast producers and can help you. I really want to make sure that you are becoming a stronger host and guest with these tips. So what they're saying to their audience when they come on 5 days a week is, we're not going anywhere far. You can count on us. So for experts, the instinct is to wait until content is perfect and polished and published. Breakfast Club says the opposite. The show is them showing up ready to weigh in on topics as real and raw as possible. Do they do their research? Of course. They're not coming to the table blind. But it could be the first time they're saying their opinion out loud. There's not really a script dictating where they need to go and when and how. They have a rundown. A rundown gives them timings to keep the show moving. So if you are looking to have more of like a very raw conversation, maybe you skip the questions and have some bullet points that you print out instead of questions on cards or in a teleprompter. It can really help you have a more free-flowing conversation like that. You can also have a rundown where these are the topics we want to hit in our conversation, and just try to make sure you hit them all so that if you tease them all, you get to them all. In the media landscape where everyone sounds the same, it is important that you bring as much of your raw personality as possible. You don't want to be reckless or unprofessional, but genuinely you, distinctly yourself, with a point of view that's relevant. I talk about relevancy a lot here. As a producer, I always knew within 60 seconds of meeting a potential guest whether they had the personality to sell what they want to say on camera. You cannot fake it, but you can develop it. Media training, practicing, I highly recommend you create content. Confidence comes from creating content. We always say in the business, you need to do the reps. Your personality is your differentiator. So show up online and sell us if you want to be a guest on a show. If you're a host, you're doing the same thing because you will probably also want to be on other people's podcasts. So make sure that everything you're doing online is really matching the person you want people to identify with. And you also, want to make sure that you're showing up professionally. So download my PDF, the Visibility Program bundle. It is a free PDF. It has an on-camera ready checklist, the media audit, and a QR code to my Amazon storefront with equipment suggestions. So check that out. Move 3 is the cultural touchpoint strategy. Every major guest appearance on The Breakfast Club has a culture moment. Artists drop albums, they go straight to The Breakfast Club to share. Politicians making a push for potentially Black voters, they show up on The Breakfast Club. Brands wanting cultural credibility, who do they turn to? The Breakfast Club. You want to position yourself as a host, as the person people want to show up for first. And that's hard. So it's all through know, like, and trust. You want to build those relationships and have a point of view that resonates with an audience that wants to keep coming back, because that will help you ultimately grow your audience, become more bookable, and even land that book deal. Be sure to check out my episode with a literary agent on Unknown to Known. We talk about how what it takes to be bookable also helps you sell that book. All right, guys, let's keep going. I don't want to hold you up too long. Move 4. The clip is the loop. Here's the production genius behind The Breakfast Club that most people miss. Every interview, every donkey of the day, every hot take is engineered to live beyond the show itself. The clip goes to YouTube. The clip goes to Instagram. The clip goes, you get me? The clip starts a conversation that drives people back to the show. So you want to be thinking, how can I drive people back? How can I be compelling? What can I say that's going to get people to want to tune in? The social conversation drives people back to the show, And that's the loop. The loop just keeps continuing, and that's how radio shows would grow too. Same with primetime and morning shows on television. It's all about building the audience. For you, every piece of content you create needs to be engineered to live in more than one place. The podcast episode becomes your YouTube video. Your YouTube video becomes a LinkedIn clip. The list goes on. Build the loop deliberately. I'm Jamie Maglietta. Thank you again for listening to Think Like a Producer and this series where I am looking at YouTube podcasts and YouTube shows to help you become a stronger host, leader, thought leader, and guest. You want to make sure that you're positioning yourself online strategically. And when you are creating long form content, you're thinking like a producer so that you can A, maintain it, B, make it look different and be different from others in your space, and C, so that you can start building your authority and stand out online. If you want more out of life, it's all about making yourself as bookable as possible. I'm your secret weapon before press. Be sure to follow along on your podcasting platform of choice or subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where I have conversations from my Unknown to Known podcast, where I interview TV personalities, YouTubers, influencers, color specialists, literary agents, anyone that may be able to help you on your journey from unknown to known. That's on my YouTube channel. Plus, I'm giving tutorials on how to use technology like Riverside and create a space at home that's camera ready. So follow me there, subscribe to the channel, and reach out to me on Instagram, Jamie_Maglietta. I'd love to connect with you. All right, I'll see you online.